Hi everyone, and welcome to the Cook with Janie kitchen today. It's Canada Week, as you can see from my Canadian flag behind me. And yesterday was Canada Day, so today I'm actually going to make you a rather famous dessert. And it comes in a square, in a bar, and it's rather delicious, to say the least. It is the amazing, beautiful Nanaimo Bars. And you can see, actually I'll turn it around so you can see that it's on my maple leaf plate here. So it comes in 3 layers, as you can see, and I'm going to go through the ingredients for you. And here we go. Hi everybody as you come on. So here we are. This is the base layer of these delicious Nanaimo Bars. 50 grams of oats, 400 grams of dates, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, or you could use vanilla paste, 100 grams of dried shredded coconut, so that's just desiccated coconut in the UK, and 120 grams of walnuts, and 35 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. And it needs to be good quality cocoa powder that has, if you read the label, 20% cocoa butter fat content in it, because that is what carries the flavor in your cocoa powder, and it does make it very delicious. And we do want these to taste like chocolate. I'm sure you saw the picture that I posted this morning with the event notification of pouring out that beautiful chocolate ganache topping onto the big tin of Nanaimo Bars. So I'm just looking forward to doing that for you here today. So the middle layer is originally, because this is a healthier version of this Nanaimo Bar recipe, originally it was a buttercream icing, and because it's so incredibly full of icing sugar, I actually can't cope with that anymore. So I was delighted when I came across this recipe. Got my words muddled up there, but I was delighted when I came across this recipe because in actual fact the middle layer is based on cashews, and it's like a thick cashew cream instead of a buttercream. So 250 grams of raw cashews, not roasted or toasted, 1/4 teaspoon of fine sea salt, 400 grams of coconut milk, 200 grams of maple syrup, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 2 teaspoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice. John, do you think that you could get the little green jug of lemon juice from the fridge for me? That would be lovely. Sending my assistant running around. And 200 grams of coconut oil. And also there's 100 grams of water in there if you want the mixture to be a little bit less thick. So I'll add a bit of water to that too. And the chocolate ganache topping, that's the bit you saw in the picture that I posted this morning. That's 150 grams of coconut oil and 220 grams of dark chocolate, either chips or pieces broken from a bar. As long as they're fairly small pieces, they'll melt in the times that I gave you today. So that is our recipe, and now we're going to get started. Well, actually, that's the ingredients. So here we go with Nanaimo Bars. Yay! I love this because it makes me think so much of where I used to go on holiday as a child. Nanaimo is a city on Vancouver Island. And let me just get this started for you. And while the chocolate is melting, I can tell you the story of how Nanaimo Bars got their name. So we're going to go to the scales here. There you go. And just add 50 grams of oats. There we are, 54, 53, that'll do. And 400 grams of dates. And here I've got dates that have had their pips removed. Or you can buy the date compressed packages without pips, obviously. And so you've got a couple of choices of how you can get your dates. The compressed dates are often really easy to buy, and they're also usually less expensive than the individual dates, and you don't have to spend the time taking the pips out, which is great. So here we go with our dates. So 400 grams of dates. Let's Let's see if I've got it about right here. Yep, that'll do. 397 is lovely. 2 teaspoons of real vanilla extract. And here we go with this. There we are, 2 teaspoons. And I'll be using vanilla again in the middle layer too. And we need 1/4 teaspoon of fine sea salt. So here we go on my little miniature spoon. And you probably see the label on the back of my salt. This is pink salt. And I actually buy the coarse pink salt because I like to use it for some things. And I grind it myself, 5-second speed 7 for 200 grams. And then the next thing is our coconut, which is 100 grams of coconut. So here we go. This makes a bit more than 100. That's all right. We'll let it be a bit more than 100. It has enough liquid in it for it to cope. And that's the nice thing about a Thermomix recipe. So 35 grams. And John, I'm going to ask you to get one more ingredient from the fridge too. Could you get the whey? Thank you.
What is it?
The jar of whey. Actually, there's 2 jars of whey in there. Get the bigger one. I didn't get that out of the fridge. So here we go. That's our cocoa powder. The reason that you need to have good quality cocoa powder, it'll either say it's got 1 gram of fat per 5 to 6 grams of cocoa powder, or it'll say that it's got 20% or 25% cocoa butter fat in your chocolate powder, your cocoa powder. It's unsweetened because you already have enough sweetness from the dates there. And here are, thank you very much, John, that's great. Here is our walnuts. We need 120 grams of walnuts. If you happen to have activated walnuts around, that's great. Oh, helps if you go back to 0. There we are. There we are, lovely. And now I'm just going to crush all of that together, and it's really quick. This is 20 seconds, speed 6. So back to the home screen here. 20 seconds. If you're wearing earphones, you might like to take them out for 20 seconds just while I do this. So speed 6. Lovely. Right, and that's telling us that we're ready for our next ingredient, and I'll show you what is in our Thermomix bowl so far. So, John, if you could just shine a light into there, that would be great. That'll help everybody to see it a bit better. And you can see that that's beautifully crumbled and mixed evenly. Really nice, but it's got some texture left in it, which is super, because you want to have that in the base of the Nanaimo bar. And what we're going to do is add now, back to the scales, 75 grams of whey. So here it goes, pretty close, 70 grams, that'll do for today. And the reason for that is to actually allow the sweetness of the dates to be just slightly softened and made better for you. It adds probiotics to it. You could use kombucha or water kefir instead if you wanted dairy-free.
Janie,
Yes,
for those who've come on a bit late, could you tell them what it is we're making in the bowl right now?
Right, what we're making is the base of this absolutely beautiful Nanaimo bar. It is so yummy. Oh, now you can see the gloss on top. Really delicious. And you can see I've got it on my maple leaf plate to celebrate Canada. And now we're just going to do 5 minutes, speed 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just to mix in that liquid. there we are. And I'm just going to take that now and I'll show you. It's just got really quite thick there and beautiful. And I'm going to use my spatula and tip it out into my tin. Now this one is about 30 by 40 centimeters, 9 by 13 inches in old speak. And you could make half of this recipe in an 8 by 8 inch tin, cake tin, or in, you would say that 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters, 8 inches square or 20 centimeters square. And here comes all of our mixture out now, which is great. And you can see it's just sort of slightly sticky, and I'm going to press it down with the spatula and make it into a flat base. And I'll just put this Thermomix bowl over to the side and swap, because I have another one for the next layer. So there we are. And I'm just going to press this down. Might take me a few moments. Actually, I think I'll just use my fingers. So here we go. You get a little bit of warmth from your hands and you can just press it right into the base easily and perfectly. So here we go. Just takes a few moments to do. It's a nice sticky mixture, but not too sticky, and it's wonderfully tasty. The original recipe way back in the 1950s was crushed biscuits, probably something like digestive biscuits, or in Canada, graham crackers made from graham flour, and sugar and all of that, butter and stuff. But this is actually a healthier version, kind of like having an energy ball base on your lovely Nanaimo bars. So here we go, there we are. It's all pressed sort of flat. It doesn't have to be totally perfect. I'll just use my spatula to press it down a little bit more evenly and spread it out. You do want layers that you'll be able to see from the side, as you saw in my piece that I've been showing you. So there we are, that's the
Can we see that,
Nanaimo bar pressed into the tin and ready to just cool. You could pop that in the fridge if you wanted to. We will pop it in the fridge after the next layer, but what I'm going to do now is actually make that next layer, which is our equivalent of a custard buttercream. So, and it's a raw cashew cream instead. So this layer is really easy. We're going to put in our cashews. So over to the weighing scales again. Oops, hello, there we are. Over to the weighing scales, and we're going to weigh in 250 grams of cashews. 250, that was exactly right. That's pretty amazing. And then we have our 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. There we are. And coconut milk we need. This is a lovely coconut milk. I'll tell you about it after I've poured it in. This is 400 mils in the tin, and I know that it weighs 400 grams because I've already checked, and I'm just going to show you which one it is. You can use homemade coconut milk, of course, which is lovely and quite delicious, and you know exactly what's in it. And this one is Biona Organic. I think maybe they say it Biona. It might be Biona. And this is it here. It's a very nice, easily available brand in the UK. I bought mine online just a couple of weeks ago, and I get several tins at a time. It only has coconut and water in it. No thickeners, no gums, really nice, no preservatives. It's just coconut milk, which is lovely to be able to get. And I've got my vanilla, because I'm going to put a teaspoon of vanilla in this layer too. So there we are. And then I've got my maple syrup, which is 200 grams. So I can just pour it straight from the bottle. Come back to zero, there we are. So that's the nice thing about Thermomix, is you can weigh directly in. It's wonderful. It's so convenient. So here we go. And usually maple syrup is sold with a milliliter measurement on it. So this one's 260 grams. So you know that you've got enough in that bottle, which is great. And the milliliters are pretty close. So that's what you can aim for. And then my lemon juice, 2 teaspoons, which I happen to know, weighs 10 grams. So I'll just weigh that into the Thermomix here. This is the creation of so much deliciousness, it's incredible. So I'm sure that this will be a wonderful treat for many people. As a matter of fact, I know it will. And because these cashews aren't pre-soaked ahead of time, I'm going to add a bit of water as well. So here we go. A 100 grams of water. So there's all our ingredients for the middle layer, and all you do here, oh John, you're wiggling and waving at me.
Sorry, because have you told us the story about Nanaimo Bars?
No, I'm going to do it while I'm melting the chocolate ganache topping.
Okay.
John really likes this story. So what I'm going to do now is actually blend this for 2 minutes at speed 10, but to save your ears, I'm handing it to John, and it can be blended on our other Thermomix. And you can relax while I just do the chocolate instead. So here we are. So here comes the chocolate layer. It's very, very easy to wash your Thermomix bowl out in between these layers if you only have one bowl. No problem at all. I actually am falling more and more in love with the pre-clean setting on my Thermomix. And then I do a few seconds at speed 9 or 10 just to wash the underside of the lid after the pre-clean has finished. And then it's really easy to brush out and just rinse it and dry. And you do need to have it dry when you do your chocolate ganache. So what we've got now is we've got our coconut oil. And let's see here. So we're going to pour in 150 grams of coconut oil. I've got mine in a jug here. You don't have to have it in a jug, obviously. You can scoop it from the jar, or if yours is melted, you can pour it straight in as I'm doing. And the Thermomix will handle the blending and softening of it really easily and beautifully. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to add our chocolate. And chocolate, of course, that's rather wonderful. You've got a choice here. I've actually got some chocolate chips, chocolate buttons actually, fairly large-ish, about 1.5 centimeters wide each. And they are delicious. They're 64%. I also had a little bit of 100% Willie's cacao, which is 100% chocolate solids, and no anything else in it, which is really, really nice. And if you like darker chocolate, the recipe actually is dark chocolate from 55% cocoa solids to 100%. So you can use whatever you want. This one's 100%, this one's 64%. I'll probably end up with about 68 to 70% dark chocolate. And you could buy a bar and just easily break that into small pieces and melt it. So today you'll notice that this is actually a dairy-free ganache because we're not using cream, we're using coconut oil instead. So here we go. Really lovely to know that you can do this. And it sets just like chocolate. Well, it is chocolate, except it's with coconut oil. And so here we go now, back to our home screen. Other way. Come on, that's it. And I'm just going to set this for 2.5 minutes. And I'm going to set it at 50 degrees centigrade. And I'm going to actually just go to speed 2.5. a little bit of sound effects as it starts to melt the chocolate. You'll hear the difference in the sound very, very quickly. In the meantime, you can tidy up or do anything else that you want, which is always great. I love how the Thermomix gives you freedom in the kitchen. So I'm just going to move those things over to here. You can hear already that the Thermomix is melting the chocolate because it's getting much quieter now, which is lovely. And my middle layer has arrived back. So, John, would you like to give that to me? So what we've got quite a liquidy middle layer here. And I'm just going to pour that into the tin on top of the base. And here we go. That's going in. And at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this in the fridge overnight and let it become really set and give it a chance, give those cashews a chance to actually sort themselves out in terms of absorbing the liquid in that mixture.
I just realised Janie, I can't see it.
No, I know, you can't really see it. Yeah.
Put it back a bit.
Oh, if I pull it back, you can see. Aha! There we are. I've poured out the cashew cream layer on top of the base layer, and that's going in the fridge now. So when this chocolate is melted, the chocolate ganache, I won't be able to show you pouring it on top, but I can show you the finished piece, and I can show you a bit of the chocolate itself. So here we are. Getting there, 15 seconds, and you'll hear that it's almost finished now. And what I'll do after this is I'll set it for 2 minutes after I've scraped down the sides. So let me just wipe off my spatula here. Ah, now you can hear that it's gone smooth, which is great. That means that it's working nicely on melting all that chocolate into the coconut oil and making a perfect ganache. So what I've got here, John, have a look at that gorgeous glossy ganache. So you may not be able to see too much of it because I don't want to pour it out of the bowl.
Would you like a mirror?
But what I've got here, oh sure, yes, sure. I can show you here. What I've got is I've got some chocolate buttons that still aren't melted. So they need to finish melting in the warmth of the chocolate mixture.
Is that visible?
Yes, let me just put this down here. I can't adjust it. Rightio, so there we are. Nope, over like that. Yes. There, perfect. Now you can see it. So those extra bits of chocolate buttons need to finish melting, and I'm going to let them finish melting in the residual heat just by setting it for 2 minutes with no temperature. So here we go, 1, 2, and you can see that it's registering at 37 degrees. So it's really a lovely temperature for chocolate. And this is just going to finish melting. Speed 2.5. It's going to stir in those extra chocolate buttons, and you're actually tempering your chocolate right now because you brought it up to temperature above where those cocoa butter crystals are going to, they're going to melt, and then they're going to, the rest of the chocolate is going to make the cocoa butter crystals just the right amount for a lovely glossy finish and a nice snap to your chocolate at the end. So I've actually, this morning, made the chocolate topping for my Nanaimo Bars already, the other batch that I did. And so when I poured it onto the tray of Nanaimo Bar base and middle mixture, then what I ended up with is I ended up with a beautiful, you can see those layers there, a beautiful 3 layers with the chocolate ganache on top that's set. And it sets almost instantly. You can watch it going solid on top of your very chilled mixture, your custardy middle mixture. It's so yummy, and you can actually feed this to your children and not feel guilty at all, especially if you've aimed for a little bit of a higher percentage of cocoa solids in the top, because the sweetness of the base and the middle layer will actually balance out if you've chosen to have a slightly darker chocolate topping on the ganache topping. So here we go, another 20 seconds or so and I'll tell you the story. Nanaimo Bars, well, I think they were originally, from my research, actually called London Fog Bars. So they have a connection to where I live now and where I went on holidays as a child. So in the early 1950s, ingredients were becoming more available in Canada again, and so people were creating, women and men were creating beautiful desserts because they were able to go back to luxury, wonderful desserts. Fabulous treat. And so what they did was they crushed biscuits with butter and sugar, made that base, put a buttercream layer on top, buttercream icing, and then put the chocolate on top, and they had a super sweet Nanaimo bar recipe. It first appeared in print in the Vancouver Sun newspaper back in 1952 or 51, and the name Nanaimo Bars stuck with it totally forever after then. This is probably served in almost every cafe in the whole of Canada, many places in the States as well. So it's really delicious, really popular, and very Canadian. And I hope that you have enjoyed my Canadian recipes this week with blueberry muffins on Tuesday, and yesterday I did the smoked salmon pate. And let me just get a bowl so I can show you.
Should we
pouring this?
Are you going to pour it in the bowl?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can see this gorgeous, smooth, glossy chocolate ganache. Oh, there's one tiny bit of chocolate chip there, which will finish melting as it sits here. So there we are. You've got your ganache. It's nicely tempered, beautifully smooth. Can't tip it too much. And really delicious. If you wanted to use this as a separate recipe by itself, you could actually pour it onto a tray, put some nuts or raisins or sultanas in it, maybe some dried raspberries or strawberries, and you'd have a chocolate bar. And as long as you use dairy-free chocolate, you'll have a wonderful dairy-free recipe. So easy peasy, you've got a really nice Nanaimo Bars dessert recipe that's very impressive. Make sure when you go to cut it that you use a knife that has been dipped in very hot water and dry it between every single slice, and press down gently so that the hot knife melts that chocolate topping as you cut it. And then you can serve your Nanaimo Bars. Thanks everybody for coming on. And oh, John has questions and comments.
A few little extra pieces of information. I know we're going to put it up on the website as a recipe, and there'll be lots of step-by-step photographs.
Yes, there will be.
So you'll see every stage.
You'll see all the stages, all the steps. You'll have much more information than just here. And thanks very much. And
if you have one or two other things,
yes.
Apparently, Nanaimo Bars are very popular in the USA too.
Yes, they are.
Is what I've heard.
Yep,
So,
all across North America.
Yeah.
And hopefully this will help get them all around the world, because I know people from all over the world are watching this, that's for sure. So thanks everyone for coming on today, and I hope you enjoy this very Canadian Nanaimo Bars recipe. Thanks everyone. Bye.